Okay, we've got our business up and running just initially here. We've got our initial management team. We're starting to get customers. Marketing programs are starting to get leads. We're selling. We seem to know how to sell. So we've closed a few. We've got some early revenue. So we're starting to grow. That's good. Now, we want that to continue, don't we? What we really want to have happen, though, is not only grow, but grow in a balanced way. So here's what I mean. You ought to think of your company as a very complex machine with lots of moving parts. The parts are marketing, sales, manufacturing, channel management, customer support, the whole 9 yards of the team, the administration, the finance, all of that. So as you grow, growth means more customers, more and more revenue comes in. Really good thing. But the team that's acquiring all this growth has to grow in a balanced way. So as you expand marketing, you probably are going to have to expand sales to support all the leads. You're going to have to crank up manufacturing. You're going to have to crank up customer support, things like that. So this machine has to be built in a careful way. As you grow, the needs of all of the functional departments of your company have to grow as well, simultaneously. So as the leader of your company, you're going to have to make sure that all these parts are expanding in a supportive way so that growth can continue and not get held up because one or more of your business functions is falling behind. It can't handle, quite frankly, the load that you're putting on it. Put more leads on top of sales, and there's not enough salespeople. Sales isn't going to grow, is it? Hey, marketing did great, but sales didn't. Hey, sales has sold all these, but we're having a hard time making all these because the manufacturing line's too slow. You see what I mean? So let's get on into this discipline by discipline. So let's get on with marketing first. This is the lead generation machine. It's in the company. Once you get into a groove swing on marketing, that is, they're starting to work, you expand the reach of these programs. You do them more frequently. In other words, you do more of them. If you find a particular marketing channel that's working best for you, you expand on it. The whole idea is generate more leads. More importantly, more qualified leads, not just anybody. In the first several months, not the first few minutes, for several months, you're going to spend a considerable amount of time figuring out what the best marketing channels are, best marketing and most effective programs are that find people that want to buy your product. Now, I'm mainly talking in the B2B world here, as you can kind of tell by the way I'm talking, but this is true as well in B2C. You've got to reach out with advertising and all sorts of things in order to reach a whole lot of people you don't know and get them interested in your product. So it's the same problem. You've got to hone down your marketing programs. Growth will greatly depend on your ability to reach a lot of people that might be interested in your product and will consider it. You expand your marketing channels through the number of campaigns that you run, but also the number of people that you have running these campaigns. You'll reach a point where, wait a minute, I'm already working 12 hours a day on marketing. We're going to need some help. So you're going to get some help probably through outside parties. And that's okay. And as you expand further and further into marketing, you find you're spending a whole lot of money on outside people. Well, you hire one or two of them. You grow your marketing capability, your marketing department, if you will, step by step by step, by starting with outside help. When it becomes more affordable to hire them instead of paying them as consultants, you do that. So that's the way you scale up marketing. You also get somebody running marketing that really knows how to do this stuff. That was your first task, and I assume you've already accomplished that. Now that person is going to have to expand on it. Okay, that's marketing. Let's move on to sales here. Likewise, as marketing has produced more leads, your sales team has to expand likewise. So you have started with Probably a very good salesperson. I hope so. Probably somebody who can build a team. I hope that too. It's kind of the hiring criteria for your initial salesperson. So a very seasoned individual. So this person is selling, closing deals. So your system is full of shopping carts. Okay, this is good. As with marketing, as more and more leads are generated, there are going to be more and more sales individuals or sales capabilities, however you're doing it, that have to expand as well. So do that. But do that in concert with the expansion of marketing. They kind of go together. As marketing grows, so does sales. Do it in a way that brings in the right people, the best people. I call them A players, the best people to accomplish these early sales. Quite frankly, the best people to continue on in sales as well. So that's how you expand on sales operations. Well, sales can also be accomplished through sales channels. Distributors, value-added resellers, or value-added remarketers, people to whom you sell your products wholesale at a wholesale price, and they in turn sell at retail through their channels. It's a very viable way to go, but you need somebody who knows what they're doing running it. If you have channel sales, there's a certain art form to all of this, that you have the best people and the sales channel has to be supported. In all of these channel relationships, you're going to have special arrangements for providing them marketing materials, providing them support, various levels. So you work out exactly the way the customer relationship is going to work. And you want sales channels that really are the best at not only selling, but also supporting the customer once the product's sold to them. So as I said about sales in general, which has to grow commensurate with the marketing volume that you're producing, so do your channels. So you need to engage with channels that are capable of handling the volume that you need them to. Sometimes you need multiple channel partners, many in some cases. Some cases, particularly in retail sales arena, you may need hundreds of them, where you're selling through stores that are in turn sold to by distributors of your products and services. You grow that commensurate with marketing and sales. As you're selling all of these products and you're selling more and more of them, if you have something that has to be physically made, manufactured, or assembled, you need to expand manufacturing. That is a tall order. Now you're in a building or you're in a section of a building and you have a manufacturing line. You may have to have a second line or a third line. You may bust out of the seams of this building and have to move your entire operation or a part of it to another building, another place in town. Manufacturing is one you've got to have some foresight on because the cost is, quite frankly, very expensive because it's a lot of hard goods stuff. A lot of equipment is involved. So if you're doing your own manufacturing, which quite frankly I advise against, but if you are, this one has to have some solid planning, forethought, and a lot of money. It has to expand commensurate with the growth of sales. It has to, else your customers are going to be mighty ticked off if you're not able to deliver what they bought in a matter of days, maybe less. Your best bet might be to have some manufacturing partners. Contract manufacturing with someone who already has a facility, has taken on the capital equipment costs to build a manufacturing facility, has the personnel that know how to do it. You simply have to train them on how to manufacture what it is that you make. You may have to spend some money on some special equipment, but not the whole manufacturing facility. So it'll still cost you money, but far less if you're going to try to do your own manufacturing line. My point here is, though, we're talking about growth. Manufacturing capacity has to grow, just like marketing and sales and channel development. Foresight as to what the needs are going to be. If you're in the services businesses, you're not manufacturing anything. You sell a service, a performance of a service. This too has to be dealt with in a very careful way. Services offerings supported by a services methodology that actually is your product, it's your intellectual property for the service, have to be delivered with qualified people, people that you've trained, people that know how to perform the service that you've sold. You've explained in your marketing and in the sales work you've done with a potential customer all of what you're going to be able to help them do, whether it's a marketing service, a sales service, a perform service of some kind, where you're engaging with your customer to teach them how to do something that they don't know how to do, but you do. So the growth of services greatly depends on having the right qualified people to perform the service. Now, you can't go out and hire a bunch of services people and put them in an office somewhere and have them wait around until you got a deal for them to work on. No, you don't do it that way. I suggest what you do is you identify and contract with people that can perform your service or can be trained to perform your service, and you engage them as subcontractors to your company. And you do lots of these. I call it having a bench of services professionals that you can call upon deal by deal by deal by deal. Once you get to a point where you're quite profitable and you can reliably hire someone and you don't mind paying them a salary, you can afford them, and you've got their utilization rate well above 50 or 60%, you can bring them on board as a W-2 employee. But you carefully scale up your services organization as you can afford them, and that will be determined by how well utilized these people are. So you start them as subcontractors, get their utilization up, hire them, and keep that going. And that's the way you grow a services business. So similar to manufacturing, the cost of services delivery is quite high. It's the cost of people, though, not machines and laborers who are making a product in a manufacturing line. So you carefully manage this, carefully grow it in a very affordable way. Once you've sold a product or a service, you are in a position of supporting your customers. Support for customers is something you have to do really well. Quite frankly, to be competitive in most industries today, support is a huge differentiator. The easier you make it for customers to understand how to use your product, how to install your product, how to modify your product, how to use all of its features in various different ways, in various different markets. The list goes on of things that your potential customers are going to be asking you about. Well, have some foresight in that. Know what they're going to be asking. You've been talking to them anyway. Build a support team, organization, more importantly, support materials that are delivered online so human beings aren't on chat and answering emails and answering phone calls. That costs a lot of money, particularly if you've got a high volume product and you've sold millions of them to millions of people. You'll get buried in telephone calls. The best companies at this build a support infrastructure founded in ease of use of the product or service and ongoing, readily available, easily found, supported by millions of customers who want to comment on how great your product is, all online with information that provides the support that they need without you being involved. You provide a video on one subject and publish it widely and make it easily found. They'll all be together somewhere, probably off your website. Okay, that's support. You got to do this one well. Don't think for a minute that you can scrimp and save on this one, because if you don't have a well-supported product, customers will leave and go somewhere else to a company that does. Not only do these business disciplines have to grow, simultaneously, so does your team. Your management team. I'm talking about the top management team of your company, the CEO and the people that report to him or her. These are people that really have to know how to manage complex operations. So you're getting the best people. You started with a handful, and the handful is going to become people who are managing people who in turn manage people. So the width and depth of the team that's running this company increases. You started with 5, it'll grow to 10. In a year, it'll be 20. Maybe in 2 years, it'll be 60. And as this grows and grows and grows, You need to have the infrastructure to support this team and the communications to support this team, the human resource considerations that go into all of this in terms of regulations and, quite frankly, straightforward people management. You're going to have to take care of the management team of this company, but you build this team with great people. One of the aspects of this is you as the CEO, top people in your company, you have to grow as well. One of the early issues that small businesses deal with within the first few months is that they are overwhelmed with doing things and are frustrated and struggling on how to do it all with a limited number of people, a limited amount of money. Well, if you don't do something about this, this is a problem that'll stop you in your tracks, because eventually you run out of your 24 hours a day. So you as the CEO or the founder of your company, you've got to find people that are just as good as you in all these management disciplines. I've taken you through many of them already, and rely on them to get the job done. You've got to manage them by the results you've asked them to achieve. You are going to become less and less and less of a doer of things in your company and more of a manager, director, inspirational force, leading people to achieve the objectives that you want to achieve for your business. It's a major transition. If you're not up to the task, you ought to bring somebody in to run your company that is. That's kind of harsh, but that's the reality of it. That's maybe not something you're cut out for. Then finally, there's a lot of infrastructure in a company. It has to do with human resource, finance, legal issues, lots of operational details about information technology and supporting the company, and the list goes on. You need to grow your infrastructure, again, commensurate with the rest of the growth of the company. You don't want to get held up because you don't have enough computers, or you don't have the capacity in your internet infrastructure, that you're breaking labor laws, that you're not collecting taxes correctly, and the list goes on. You better have this stuff in order, because somebody could come to your door and ask you about workman compensation and what you haven't paid, and shut your company down if you haven't done it. So have really good people making sure that you're compliant with regulations, tax laws, human resource management, IT infrastructure, and the list goes on. Have an infrastructure that also scales with the growth of your company. So that's it. That's how you achieve growth. It's not just growth. You've got to think of it as balanced growth, that as you grow your company, all the piece parts grow simultaneously and in support of one another. Achieve balanced growth and have a great day.